this beautiful space with some of our other GCISD parents because we don't have to worry about the tech piece, which is so nice.
And our people don't have to wait to see
if we're going to move the camera back from our face.
You're sitting there going, I'm waiting for Kimberly. I'm waiting.
Right.
There she is.
Yes, that's how I do it.
Yeah. So that's exciting.
And then we have more friends with us because now that we've kind of figured out how to do this with 2 folks, we thought it would be more fun to have more folks with us today. But you guys know who we are. We are Kimberly and Rachel. I have a new name, and I need to read it again because I don't remember what it was. My new name is, Nasty Dingbat Woke Grievance Cult Leader, Rachel Wall. Yeah, so good morning, you guys. That's me. I only take exception to the dingbat portion. Otherwise, I'm cool with the rest of it. So good morning and happy back to school week.
Yay, back to school.
We are really excited, and we were kind of making fun of people. Allie will introduce herself with her new moniker from the last 2 weeks.
I am the anonymous Republican whose name was typed out and said verbally in the podcast I was interviewed for, but whatever. And I'm also a nasty political prostitute. So nice to meet you all. Happy to be here. I'm also happy to be
and GCISD mom.
A proud member of Rachel's cult. I'm not worthy.
She's volunteer extraordinaire. That's what happens. You volunteer in GCISD, you're going to get a funding. Yeah, there you go.
I'm Christine. I couldn't remember. I think I've been called Rin Tin Tin. There was something else. I don't know. But we were talking earlier, and it just makes me wonder. First of all, I'm honored to be surrounded by such nasty women.
Woo!
But it makes me wonder motivation, because the amount of hours that are sitting in this room of volunteer, of research, of fighting for public education, and not just because we have kids in public education. Obviously, most days we love our kids. Some days we just kind of like them. But GCISD is an amazing gift to this community at large. And if you've had any time on a campus, you have encountered beautiful humans. Whether they're tiny humans or grown-up humans, you cannot walk on one of our campuses and not leave with your heart touched, and to see the growth and to see the impact that this district has on the kids.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about. So if our passion for public education, our desire to make GCISD the very best thing that it can be, brings out hate and vitriol, then it just makes me curious. Why? What about beautiful humans is threatening to you? You may not like me, that's okay. Mm-hmm. But we're fighting for beautiful people to have the best life that they possibly can, the best public education they possibly can, because not every child has the same opportunities.
Yep.
So we, Christine's always like the positive person of our circle. Like she can always bring it back to what's beautiful in life. And, but what's also great about Christine and also Kimberly, when you contrast that with what Allie and I have in terms of how we kind of view things here, is that Christine has 2 kids that are out of GCISD, like on to college. One of them's out of college, right? You have a college grad.
Yes.
And then she has a kiddo still in middle school. But Christine has really like experienced the full run of things, and like she's really experienced truly what it can offer. And so she can always bring that back and say, like, I know what it can do. I know what this can bring, versus like Allie and I we've been here in the cutting phase. Like that's what we've experienced, and it's really hard. And Kimberly too, like you've also experienced like the really great things in the building period, but you and your kiddo are getting to live through
I got
the cutting
here
period
right
too.
after all of the Lead 2021 things had been implemented. So I kind of got to be here.
So we just thought like this is back to school week, right? And we want to talk about, we have a new superintendent.
Yeah.
We have a new school board president. Those things really positive from our perspective. But also it was a really bittersweet first week for a lot of people, because things don't just look differently in that way. Like they look differently because school's closed and kids are at different places, and neighbors are, residents in the community are impacted because the roads look crazy right now in the mornings, and so it looks different this year. So I thought it would be fun if we could all talk about, and if you want to comment on here, I'll get my phone out and I can read the comments as you bring them. But like, what are we hoping for this year? Like, what are we looking forward to? Like, kind of where are things going? Like, and we can talk really big picture, transparency, accountability. Those are all things we really are hoping for. But then also some big things came out, like the technology policy that's really important to Allie. KP also got to participate in that. Some meetings about that. So. Programs like where are we? Yeah,
committee was just formed.
yes, the legislative. So there's some really big stuff that we've had happen this week. So I just thought we could start talking about that and where we want to go. And I don't know what do we want to start with, you guys? Like, what do we want to talk about first? You have a little bit of a hard stop. So what's important to you?
Yes, I do have a little bit of a hard stop because I have to go do something for the district that is a wonderful thing. So I put a couple of notes down for myself about like what I love right now about this time of year. I love all the enthusiasm for back to school, especially for the littles, especially if you don't have littles anymore. It's so fun to watch. Like, oh my gosh, I just love those pictures and the little kids in their backpacks and all that kind of thing. But another thing that I really love this time of year is the back to school teacher wish lists. I mean, obviously it sort of breaks my heart, and this is not a GCISD thing. It's everywhere across the country where, our teachers who are underpaid are putting out lists saying, here's some things I could use for my classroom. But one of the things I find so heartwarming is when I go to the lists to try to buy some things, y'all, the things some of our teachers ask for. And I know I have a high schooler now, and one of our high school teachers list that they put out, I won't say the person's name because I don't want to embarrass them. It was so chock full of snacks and feminine hygiene products and stickers and all these other things for high school kids. This is so clear that this person's classroom is a very safe place for kids to go, right? To go ask for something. And I know we have a school nurse and we have all these other things. But that really surprised me. I was like, that is so cool. So then I asked my daughter, and she was like, oh yeah, so-and-so is the place where anybody feels comfortable being able to go in and say, and then she also said, I said something about I said, well, should I go to the snack? Should I get her? And she said, oh yeah, every student's birthday, she gives them a snack and a drink.
Oh,
wow.
Is that like, so all the way clear in high school? I mean, I knew that at elementary school, I remember when my kiddo was in elementary, they'd get, little hat wear or whatever that the teacher would do. I didn't realize that I did realize, but it's like what Christine said. There's so many wonderful humans. And sometimes you kind of have to like have something like looking at someone's Amazon wish list to realize, while I thought they were amazing teacher already, you get reinforced when you look at the wish list, I think, of what amazing humans some of them are. Many of them are. Most of them are, probably, if they're still doing this for a job. So I'm excited about fulfilling some wish lists.
I feel like that's such a good plug to just encourage people
Yes.
to do that. And some teachers can put it out. I know some schools, the principals don't care, and some schools, the principals kind of
Don't really love that.
don't really love that.
Oh, okay.
But, so some of my kids, and maybe it's just a personal preference thing too, just what teachers are comfortable with. But some of my kids' teachers have wish lists, which I happily donated to, and some of them don't. So at back to school night, I said, do you have a wish list? And they all do. You
Yes,
just have
they
to
do.
ask them. So if your teacher doesn't have a wish list or you can't find them, send them a quick email being like, hey, I'd love to contribute this year. Can you send me your wish list?
Or
And
like,
I
I don't-
guarantee you'll get something back. Or they'll make one. If they have someone
Yeah,
willing
I don't
to
do
donate
Amazon. Like,
stuff.
we don't have an Amazon. Just I don't, and it,
Yeah.
like not a statement. I just don't have an Amazon. And so
You sound
we
like my
asked.
mother.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't
So
know.
good.
I like going to the store.
Yeah.
But we asked. So today, my kiddo took a big old bag of hand sanitizer. She was like,
Right.
"I will
I would
always
say,
take." She said,
yes.
"I will always take hand sanitizer."
And Kleenex,
because these
boxes of
littles
Kleenex.
are gross, right? They're
Yes.
dirty. And so we went to school with some hand sanitizer. They like it's. But what you were saying is just. It is back to school, and it's fun and we're all sitting in the spot where it was lovely because we've had our kids all summer, and some of us, I mean, I had a lot of fun with my kiddo this summer, but it's nice for the routine to start back, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then you think about those kids, like the teachers that are providing that, it was really crucial for some of those kids to get back to school because
Yep.
it's their
Yes.
safe space. And so it makes me happy that those kids are back in their safe space, and that I hope we remember, especially our littles who were Dove or Bransford were their safe space, that, what a hard first week this is going to be for them. And
It's scary. I
it
think,
is.
there was a lot of talk about resilience. And yes, 100%. Our kids are strong. They are mighty. But the first day of school is scary for every kid. But you've doubled scary with it's a new building. And yes, I got to go into it one time and walk the hallways, but it's every bit of it is new. And that comfort was taken away. And so to be tender to those families, those parents, those kids, because they're exhausted. It's a rough, it was a scary first week.
And,
Even for parents, I
Yeah.
mean, I am a parent who poured a lot into my school, and even though my school didn't get closed, it would hurt to see that all taken away.
Right.
I know that we have tons of parents that have been pouring into their schools for decades, and then they sort of lost their community and their space as well. They're jumping into a fully staffed PTA, if you will. And I mean, I think that we obviously should encourage our kids to be resilient, but also we can still leave space for their feelings.
Yes.
Like that's
Yes.
Right.
lesson in parenthood, right?
Right.
Well, I don't know. I even though my kids' school didn't close, I was always really offended to read those comments where people are like, "Oh, grow up" or whatever. Like, people have a right to their feelings and
Yes.
to be sad if their school closed. And I guarantee you, the people making those comments would have been terribly sad if their
the
kids.
people
I
making
didn't
those
see a
comments
single
are the
person.
same people that called you prostitutes or whatever
I
they called
didn't
us.
see a single person whose school was closing, whether they felt fine about it or not, throw out those comments. It was only the people who, from their seat, it was very easy to say, "Oh, grow up, you're being immature," or like.
There's many people who
whatnot.
don't even have kids in school anymore that were making
Oh, of
those comments,
course.
frankly.
Well, it's also people that I think what we've seen yesterday and the day before, I'm sure today it's a little bit better again, just because Fridays are, at a lot of elementary campuses in particular, are Dad's Club days where they come and open, well, middle school too, CTMS used to do that when we were there. So you have that extra support of volunteer dads that are out there opening doors or doing whatever. So I'm sure the lines felt a little better today, probably. But just, it kind of, as I've been reading through comments, I'm seeing a lot of people saying like, well, this is what happens when you move, 200 kids into a campus. And it's just so surprising to me that it's clear a lot of people just didn't do the math or something. Like people are like, the fact that people really didn't understand that when the district said that that company that they brought in, was it Huckabee that did it? That did the thing and said like, oh, but these classes are 60% full or whatever. But then there was that whole weird thing about, but full is 80%. Or, I mean, I'm kind of throwing out numbers off the top of my head right now. But so if you go from 60 to 80, then you're full if 80 is the maximum they were ever going to allow, right? And now people are in the phase of feeling like this is what that feels like when every classroom has 25 kids in it or 27 kids in it.
There was a post about that.
Yeah.
I don't remember who posted, but there's like 27 kids in a fifth grade classroom. And
It's at
fifth,
Bear Creek.
if I recall correctly, fifth grade does not have a
Yeah, it doesn't
cap
have a state
limit.
cap.
But we've always tried to keep it
Correct.
to a reasonable amount for the teacher and for the education to happen. So I'd be curious to see how many classrooms are right at that 21, 22 cap now, or that have exceeded that cap. And will we be able to with full buildings? Because in the past when that happened, in the ancient dinosaur times when I taught, if that happened, we hired another teacher.
Oh, that's not going
And
to happen.
we split another classroom. And so now I wonder, is there a room? Because I remember sitting in a school board meeting where they talked about that, and they're like, well, this room isn't used. And I was like, but it doesn't have a full class in it, but the classroom is 100% utilized for pullouts, for extra testing, for for all kinds of services. So maybe it doesn't have 21 children in it at all times, but that doesn't mean that classroom wasn't utilized.
Right.
So now, in the past, then that classroom would have been taken over by another class and people would have had to pivot. But now if that room is not available, what are we doing with all these extra kids?
Also, some classrooms cannot hold 27 kids. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been in
Right.
classrooms that were meant for, small pull-out reading groups. At least
Right.
our campus
Yes.
has a bunch of smaller rooms. And, I mean, technically they're classrooms. They've got, chalkboards or TVs, but they're not classroom-sized classrooms. You
Right.
couldn't fit 27 fifth graders in it. You couldn't
Right.
even
And
fit
fifth graders are
16
bigger kids,
you
bigger
couldn't
bodies,
even
bigger
fit
chairs and
16
tables.
kids in it. I mean, you couldn't fit a classroom in there. And
Right.
so-
Right.
I guess so. We are here though. We have closed the schools. We did see that our community steps up today on Fridays, which is not a sustainable option always for all
Sure.
of our dads to unload all of our kids. But I do hope that everybody's going into the weekend with a little bit feel better about how things went at drop off today. I'm gonna move my mic because we're so
Okay.
fancy. There you go. You
There
good?
you go. Yes, I'm going to move mine a little.
But we're here. So I guess what are I want
Maybe.
all of us to say, we've all had different experiences.
Which-
Like, what is your hope for the new chapter in GCISD? And you're working
do
on
I
your
get to go
mic.
first?
No, I will start with Christine. I'm like, you're doing your mic.
I would
No, I'm a
love to
weakling.
see strong leadership that has a true vision for where we want
I'm teasing you.
GCISD to grow. Not to a report card,
Right.
but
Right.
to a vision where we want GCISD to grow. A growth mindset, not a scarcity mindset.
Yes.
I think we have an opportunity to make change, and it's going to require hard conversations. It's going to require people not agreeing, but in a respectful and informed way where the information is
Okay.
transparent.
Y'all,
And-
I am so sorry. What can I say? I'm so popular. I double booked. I didn't double book until late last night, but I have to be on another call
Okay.
with the school district for something that's actually good news. But my child just texted me and said, "Please get on the meeting."
Okay.
So I'm going to sneak out, but my thing is, yes, very much my other note was I'm looking forward to more transparency and less gaslighting. It's going to take a while to
We have
turn the
those on
ship
my list
around,
too, but yeah.
especially with the financial challenges in Texas public ed everywhere. But yeah, and I think the meeting that they had about the technology guidelines is a step in the right direction. I still have some concerns about what some of the information was that was shared, but step in the right direction. So
Well, we could
yay,
save
back
that
to
towards the
school.
end. We could talk about
And-
technology at the end, and when you're done,
Maybe I'm
then maybe you
done.
can come back.
Cool,
Okay.
awesome. We have good
You're
and exciting
amazing.
things
Yes,
coming
I was
in
like, you're amazing.
GCISD. My call is an example of how we still have administration people that are amazing at filling gaps for us. And so we had a teacher that left very last minute, like literally 3 days before school started, and we have an interview with a really great candidate. Yay!
Yay, good luck.
You're awesome.
I'm jealously gonna
Good
go
luck
listen
with
to that.
Yeah, good
Yes.
luck with
All right,
that,
bye.
and we'll see you if you get to come back.
Yes. I'm just gonna step out.
To piggyback on Christine's, I want a long-term plan, but I want one that includes differentiated learning. It's so difficult for me to look at all the surrounding districts and the programs they offer, especially at the elementary level, and be like, we have STEM, which is very hard to get into right now because that is one of the schools that is, I think what I keep hearing is over functional capacity. We won't know until the numbers come in, but from people that are pretty well connected, I hear that there's no space. So to have an elementary system where there's one program and no space for people to transfer in, even if they wanted to, is not a system that works well. But we picked this district because my sister had lived here probably about 5 years before we moved here, and she said, "Oh, you should go there. There's so many cool programs." And so she lived here in 2010, and we moved here in 2015. And at that time, GCISD really was cutting edge. We had programs that didn't exist anywhere else. And I guess I should have mentioned that we have Aspire, which is great, but that's a program that you can't lottery into. You have to be qualified academically to get into. So although I think it's phenomenal, it's not an option for the majority of the kids in the district. So I would love for our long-term plan to include programs like we used to have. That's what we came here for. And I have a friend her daughter's still at Silver Lake, but she has 4 kids. And when they closed the dual language program in 2023, she's like, I need to go to a school where my kids can do something different. So she signed up to be on the lottery for HEB, and she's been on that list for 3 years. And this year, 3 of her kids got in, and they're not even doing dual language. They're doing Suzuki strings. But she is such a big proponent of wanting her kids to be educated in a manner in which they will feel engaged and they will learn to love learning. That is such an important baseline to her, that she has 3 kids at HEB right now in an elementary school, and 1 that didn't get in that's still at Silver Lake. And she's like, I'm doing it. So they do the earliest drop off at Silver Lake, and then they go over to HEB and
So
they
was
drop
that
drop their kids.
$18,000
Yeah, I mean,
that
she
we
for
don't get back?
sure-
They live in GCISD.
Oh, they live by the
Yep.
lake, you know? They were zoned for Dove, but they went to Silver Lake because their oldest was in dual language. And
Well, you know, all 3 of us went through the dual language cut. Like the 3 of us together. I mean, kind of. We met through PTA, but I guess we all went through the dual language cuts, right? And yeah, I ran those enrollment things, and Timberline recovered post-COVID. Like our enrollment recovered all but 10 kids. Like we only lost 10 kids to I don't know, homeschooling, aging out, declining birth rates, whatever. We only lost 10 kids after that. Like once COVID kids came back to school, we got all but 10 kids back, and we have lost, I don't know what it will look like. I don't know what the final number was from last year, but over 100 kids post the dual language cut, right? And so that is what, $600,000 that our enrollment, which is crazy. So
I
Christine,
didn't
you
realize
were-
the numbers were that big.
yeah,
I
it was
didn't-
100 kids. At Timberline's enrollment went down 100 kids from the year they cut the dual language program. It went down.
But I think that that's partly, I mean, and we could talk about this till the cows come home. I've said this all the time. But dual language was one of those programs that got extra state funding. And that
Yes.
state funding
Yes.
went to the English-speaking kids and the Spanish-speaking kids. But it could be used, 55% of it had to be used for the program. 45% of it could just go in the coffers
Whatever.
of the district and be used for whatever. But instead of leaning into that, and I mean, I can easily accept that program had challenges and weaknesses. No part of me, I mean, I've talked to plenty of teachers, not one of them said it was perfect, but everyone I talked to said it was valuable and it needed more resources and more support and it needed to be built up.
And Christine can speak to what it was at the end, because Christine was on the committee. You were on the committee that brought dual language here, right? Like you went and toured campuses
Yes, I
and
was
brought the
in the
programs.
beginning.
And so, we talk about the deficits that it has. And I want to acknowledge that we do know accountability scores came in just a moment. So I'm going to pull those up while we're talking. And I do know that I think it looks like we're doing good.
Yes.
And
Great news.
Teachers. Thank you to our teachers who have
Yes.
poured into our kids and done that. So we can go to that, because part of, and it ties into this dual language thing and why they cut it, is about performance. But talk about, Christine, like what it looked like, because you were an educator for a long time, or for years. You come from that background. You were on the committee that brought it. You knew what the goals were. So what it looked like when you guys recommended it come to GCISD, and then what it actually looked like when it was cut.
So I was actually thinking about this when you guys were talking, and I hold myself to task, because being on the committee, I should have followed it further. When we visited schools in Capel, we saw 4th grade classrooms where they were doing fractions completely in Spanish. These kids were so amazing. And of course, I mean, obviously they're on best behavior. They have guest visiting and all that kind of thing. But we saw programs that were doing amazing things with these kids. At the time, it was a lottery for kindergarten, and I was torn with my oldest because he had so many friends in the neighborhood now. To switch felt like stressful. So I didn't put him in the dual language program at that time. And so selfishly, I didn't pay attention because my child wasn't in it. And that is something I have definitely learned through this whole process, is I don't have the luxury to not pay attention just because it doesn't affect mine. But when my youngest came, I was so thrilled to be able to get him in that lottery for dual language. And Timberline is a gem in our district. I think it is often under-recognized and has some of the hardest. All of our teachers work hard. I'm not putting anyone else down, but the teachers at Timberline go above and beyond. The whole way that it was handled when they decided to cut the program, I don't recall receiving an email asking for my input. I don't recall having any meetings asking for my input. The first meeting that I attended was the meeting telling us it was going to be closed. And there were a lot of big feelings. There were a lot of informational topics. For example, does anyone know what one-way dual is? Does anyone know what ESL is? Excuse my tone, but it was exactly like that. And I do know those things. And so at one point the presenter said, oh, maybe you should be up here giving this information.
Is that the same presenter that was shopping online while you were having your meeting with them?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same person.
So I won't rehash the whole thing, but one thing I did make a mistake is we were on opposite sides of the coin on that. There were a lot of angry feelings. I was angry. You guys were angry. And you guys said we need to stop this. And I said the district does what's best for our kids. I trust them. I trust that they're doing what is best for our kids. We may not like it, but I know they have the best interest of our kids. And how long did it take me to realize that was not true? And by the time I did, we had lost traction. Honestly, not that I could have made any difference in that. But to see the way that it was handled, I didn't even know what gaslighting meant, honestly. Maybe I'm the dingbat, but now I do. And so we were I was like, oh, okay, this is what this is. I was told that everything would be transparent. We had individual meetings with district employees where we were told after the meeting, I was told that if I sent an email, I could get any questions asked. I sent email, no response. We had a one-on-one meeting with, they didn't want all the parents together. They wanted us all one-on-one.
Only the Caucasian parents, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Only
actually,
the Caucasian
that's a true
parents.
story.
Yes.
They did only schedule meetings with the parents. It wasn't Caucasian parents.
The
It was
English.
the kids of the English-speaking
Yeah.
parents. They
English-speaking.
scheduled those.
I'm only a
True.
happy.
True. I should say that.
It wasn't. It was
Native
just parents of kids who were
Native
English speakers
English
as their first
Yes.
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 speakers.
They
didn't
only
take-
scheduled the meetings with us because supposedly the other kids were not going to be impacted. The Spanish-speaking kids who were getting to go to school, getting to be in the two-way program, which was being canceled, their families were not given the opportunity to schedule a meeting with district administration.
Well, in all fairness, the meeting was pointless.
Yeah.
So
They were willing to waste the English-speaking parents' time, but they were unwilling to waste the
Well,
time
and
of
one
the kids
thing,
who
not
spoke
to
Spanish.
rehash this too much, but one thing I think the general public doesn't know is, that presentation about the dual language refinement was given to the board on a board level. They went down a breakdown of what our kids were going to get, how this was going to be a better program. They talked us into keeping our kids in the program. And then when our kids showed up the first day of school, that program didn't exist. It was never offered even one day, and we were not communicated to. So our
the three
dual
of us,
language
yes.
program from that point on became
it became
one
a
and a-
Spanish class.
one and a
It's
half
Spanish class.
hours of Spanish
It's 22 minutes a day.
every
Every
other
other
week.
week.
So for 11 days, our kids in dual language didn't learn any Spanish.
Well, and
but
let's
were
don't forget-
still tested as if they were supposed to
And don't
know
forget the
50%
period of
of their
time they
content
stop from
in
January
Spanish.
to April when they don't learn Spanish at all, from January to April, and then take a diagnostic in May to see how they've progressed throughout the semester. And then they say, oh, the program's failing because
But don't
the
worry,
kids
we
are not
still
making
took
any
state
progress.
funding
But
for
we
our
still took
dual
it.
language.
We're obviously all three a little
I'm
bitter
bitter.
about
Yes,
it.
a little
We're
bitter,
a little
just a
bitter
little.
about it.
The
But
worst
I
part
wanna
was
say-
never being communicated as
That-
a parent that program that we had individual meetings on, that we sat in this front row of this school board meeting and got a breakdown of how this was going to be refined, was never offered, not even one day, and was never told to us as parents. Our kids came home and they said, we don't really do Spanish anymore. Like,
Yeah.
that's how we learned
Well,
that,
we also
our
learned-
dual language program didn't even offer Spanish every day.
And that's how we learned that they would stop it every spring to
Yes.
prepare for STAR. Is like you would say, hey, what what part of the day are you doing your Spanish on? Oh, we haven't done Spanish since we got back from Christmas. Like, no letters. We don't get that from the administration. We did get, I got a lot of gaslighting about that from administration, but this, and obviously the three of us lived that. And so
It's personal.
it's very personal, but I will say that was 2023 when that whole thing happened. A lot of us were really upset by the big policies that were enacted in 2022, but not everyone saw it as this big global thing. 2023 really happened to us, and that whole tone of how that happened and how it went down really was the shift that I felt, like personally, truly felt a shift in GCISD of gaslighting, no transparency. That started the lack of trust for the three of us, but it really did set the tone, and that is how things operated through this summer, to be frank. I mean, so was we talk about a new chapter, like that was the chapter, this dual language cancellation and how that process happened, the gaslighting, the committee that was made, that kind of thing. You can go all the way through to the
100%.
EMPC
Yeah.
committee decision, right? Like it does. And so as we talk about what we want going forward, I don't want them to erase the dual language. It's done. I mean, I would love for them to bring back differentiated programs. I'm not saying go back and do dual language the way that it was done.
Right.
But
It had issues.
It did have issues.
we're all-
100%. I mean, I talked to plenty of teachers, and not one of them said it was perfect, but all the ones I talked to said it had value, and the lack of support that the district has given it is where it's failing.
Well, it's failing, and it's going to show less support because it is no longer a dual language
Right,
program, right? I mean, so
100%.
for those, my son is a fifth grader, and he is the last two-way dual language class. So I'm not hopeful we're getting any resources put into that at this point. There's, I don't know how many kids
I do have to say, at the middle school, my son is having a great experience. I love his teacher. She is so energetic and so enthusiastic, and I think that he is having a great learning experience.
And we said I want my kid to get to talk to Christine's kid because I want to see what this benefit is for him going forward into middle. But there's none of us are under any illusion right now that there's some kind of resource or that our kids are getting some kind of special Spanish treatment or Spanish language treatment because of them still being in the
honestly,
program. There's 16 kids at Timberline in the dual, 16 English speaking kids, I believe, in Timberline that are getting two-way dual. I don't know the number at Silver Lake. So there's 30 kids. They're not going to be doing anything
Right.
special. But the part that's painful, I guess, was that we asked if this program is failing kids, like you say, then why don't we just rip the Band-Aid off and cancel it? If it's failing our kids, then we should cancel it, right? Like rip it off and cancel it. We'll take our kids out. Oh, no, we're going to fix it. Keep your kids in the program. Those of you that have kids, no, we're going to fix it. We're going to do what's right by your kids. And I mean, the three of us said in a long meeting about, you guys are doing 22 minutes a day every other week with our kids in Spanish. This is not a dual language. It's not what you told us. You never communicated the new program to us, what's going on. And so again, it just set the tone. So where do we go from here, moms? Like you sit on these committees, you are very active with the advanced academic stuff. I don't really know.
And even in sitting in the advanced academic stuff, I've sat with a bunch of parents who are Aspire parents who literally moved to this district for Aspire. I think of Bransford before they closed transfers. I've seen all the data. It was the only school that was increasing enrollment, and I don't think that that's coincidental. I think a lot of people want to put their kids in a learning environment in which it's really engaging. Curriculum in a box for me as a parent and for my children is not engaging. They don't come home and ever talk about what they learned in iReady. That's not something that they're interested in. That's not something that they're, it's not engaging. And whether it works or not is a different debate, but I want my kids to love learning. And it's been interesting just to see, like my kid who had Spanish, that's what she came home and talked about every single day, how much she loved it, what she learned. And
Or like our
you
GT lead specialist, like that was the highlight of a lot of kids' day because those teachers differentiated, they made it fun. I mean, I don't have a GT kiddo, but they made that so much fun for those kids. And now we cut theirs the last 2 years. Those people are frazzled. We've cut the number of them.
They're
I mean,
sharing
the number of
campuses.
specialists, yeah, they're sharing campuses. Some of them have every one of them have at least 2 campuses. Some of them have 3. So we're making that harder for them. And not only are they sharing campuses, so they had a classroom equipped with these tools to make learning fun for that block of time they get those kids. And now they have 2 or 3 classrooms and they can't equip those classrooms. Like, did we give them the funds to equip those classrooms? No, we just said go to each school. So it just, I guess go ahead, Christine. You've
It's
had
hard.
something to say.
It's so hard. And it wasn't just that they were fun. It was that it was teaching to a specific learning difference. And students that have qualify for gifted education need differentiated instruction to achieve their highest level. What was nice about having the GT teacher on each campus was there's bubble kids. There are bubble kids who don't meet that qualification for gifted and talented, but they need something extra. The baseline classroom is not meeting it for them. They need to be pushed further. And the gifted teacher was able to take those bubble kids and work with them, which gave the classroom teacher some relief, number relief, and they could focus on the rest of their class even with more time and more energy and more resource. So it benefited every student in the classroom. And the other thing that I was going to say with all of the, like, trying to be the Pollyanna, with all of the dual language cuts and things, what it taught me is to not be complacent. It
You're
taught
so
me
good. You're so
to
good
question.
to look at to find the where does this go, Christine? You're great at that. Like, what's the good side of this?
Thank
Like, where
you.
do I look at that?
But honestly, because how many times have I told you, I'm done? Rachel will get a text message from me. I'm sorry that this is happening to your kid. I'm done. I'm tired of fighting. And that lasts about a week. And then I re-energize because in the past, we could operate that way. In the past, we could operate. The school has the best interests of my child at heart. And I don't take that away from all of our educators or administrators, but we know the funding at the state level has gotten ridiculous. I mean, absolutely insanity. So they do have to make cuts. And while we may not agree with the cuts that are being made, but how do you make those cuts and operate from a growth mindset with accountability and communication with the parents? So now I know that the baseline that I believed for years was communication is a given. Now I know that that's not the reality. So now I know that I have to pay attention. I have to be involved. You have to be part of the PTA. If you're not part of the PTA, you need to go to those meetings. You need to watch the school board meetings. I know they're exhausting. I mean, sometimes. However, if you don't, you're missing it. Because you might watch, we all come from 3 completely different backgrounds. And we can sit in the same meeting and hear completely different things. There's something that I'm going to hear because I've been in the district for forever. There's something you're going to hear from your legal background. You are the numbers guru to me. I'm like, whoa.
Well, I don't care what anyone presents to me. I want to see the facts.
Yes.
So one thing that I think is interesting about cutting all these programs is I know we have Robin Hood. There's a lot of problems that are outside of our district's ability to navigate. But I did a deep dive into Capel, and they have roughly the same average home price as we do. So their Robin Hood should be roughly the same as our Robin Hood. They also have around 13,000 kids in their district. So they're very similar in every way than we are. And they have a myriad of programs at their elementary level. So why can't we do it? What is our outside circumstance that's so extenuating for us in the same, we should have this same set of state funding circumstances within reason. How did they navigate having so many programs and we don't? And I also want to say that I did a deep dive into their enrollment the last 5 years, and it has ebbed and flowed maybe 100 to 200 kids, but up and down. So they haven't lost the enrollment that we've lost, even though it's just as expensive to own a home there. And I think it's because they offer more. I mean, if you're going to, we all pay, I mean, and we live in Grapevine and you live in Colleyville. So we all pay a fair amount of money to live here when you could live in HEB for a lot less money, and you're putting your kids in programs that are a lot broader and more differentiated for a lot less money. I mean,
Well, there was a
HEB
big
is
push.
still a lot less expensive than here. And I understand that that changes their state funding and that they don't have to give as much back to Robin Hood. I'm just saying, if we have an enrollment problem, which is causing our funding problem, and that's the only thing we have control over, what are we doing
Fix
to
our-
try to
fix
get
our-
kids to
yes.
come here? It doesn't
has
appear to me.
That has to be the growth mindset. It has to be.
It has to be. And I genuinely think programs are what get kids to move here. You have somebody that's kids really into music. Like I said, we've seen the numbers, and the Bransford was pulling people from the cusp of people that were in the Hearst area or whatever. And it is also a way in which you can, I think this is typical of what most districts do when they open up a program. They open up that program and they're going to fill every seat. And first they're going to fill it with the kids that are zoned for that school. Then they're going to fill it for the kids that are zoned for that district. And then they're going to fill it with kids outside the district. So that program is full and paying for itself. So that's what HEB is doing. Like I said, for their Suzuki Strings, for their dual language. They do not have open enrollment at the elementary level. They do at the middle school level and the high school level. But the elementary level, it's capped. But they do have a transfer policy that allows every single program they offer to be full. So if you wanted your kid, like let's say my friend who's driving all the way from the lake to HEB, if she wants her kids to stay in that program, I mean, every year they're going to have to lottery back in because they don't live in the district. If her kids love that program and love that community, there is nothing stopping her from selling her house by the lake and buying a bigger house for less money in HEB where her kids have found community and get to learn to play the violin in public school.
I also do think, I mean, so we have about, like, we travel 15 minutes or so we can, like, everybody will quit watching us after a minute. But the other thing is we maybe we don't have the money to offer these things, but we do have a beautiful community of people who will help. And Grapevine is, I mean, we have so many resources and so many headquarters and so many things sitting in Grapevine. So where do we partner with those businesses? If the state isn't going to give us the funding right away, and we can talk all day about how important November is if public education is your thing, and that's the issue you're going to vote on. But we need to find those partnerships, right? We have American Airlines headquartered here. We have the Gaylord Texan. We have the mall. We have GameStop. We have so many places.
Kubota
But it
for
doesn't
CTE.
even have to be, CTE. It doesn't have to be those big things. I mean, like, I was talking to someone about, my background's law. So how do we partner and offer some kind of law program? Like, we have tons of lawyers that live in this community that I can promise you would go in. And I had so much fun when I just did the career day and we did the Three Little Pigs versus the Big Bad Wolf. So much fun. I know the kids learned. It's a great social studies piece. So how do we partner to offer that every year, right? For every, like at one campus, this is this program we do with these kids, because I can guarantee you a group of lawyers would come in on a Friday morning and work with these kids. It's not costing us anything. And it's something special we can offer. So we have to figure out how to offer those programs then. So, special programs is definitely something that is my goal for this year. And I know we can't open them up this year, but can we build the partnership so that we can start offering those for our kids in the next couple of years, right? With these new leaders that we have in the district. And so that is, tangible goal, like actionable goal. Like I have a lot of broad topic goals, like transparency. We've talked about that, trust, those things, but those are, we have to think of like actionable ways that they can build that trust. But an actionable goal to help us with enrollment is build those partnerships in our community where they really want to help these kids. I mean, we are sitting in this beautiful studio today instead of on our couch. I can guarantee you if you wanted to talk to those kids on a Saturday afternoon that either of these GCISD parents that are helping us would be like, this is what photography, like, we have photography club at our school and do this, and it's something we can offer.
I mean,
that
if
makes it
everybody gave an
special.
hour.
Yeah,
an hour
and it's
a month.
really not.
We have a
you know,
community that could do it.
We have a community that would do it, so it doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be us making it happen. But for the last several years, we've been told our kids are learning the same thing horizontally. On every campus, our kids are doing the same thing horizontally and doing the same thing laterally. And that's not what most families moved here. It's not what families don't want. They wanted the special things. That's why people moved here. That's why they pay the premium. And it's not just people that live in homes. It's not just homeowners that are paying a premium to live here. Every family that's renting an apartment, whether it's an apartment that we would consider to be like one of these high-end, crazy expensive apartments, or whether it's one of the really old apartments, they're still paying that premium because those apartment property taxes are expensive and they're getting passed on to the renters. So, every person living in this district is paying a premium for their kid to be here. So that's my goal with the new leadership, is that we can build partnerships
I love that.
that give back to our kids, right? And if each one of those big businesses would adopt a campus,
Yes.
an elementary campus, and make it their special program. We also have the Army Corps of Engineers. We talk about low-tech campuses with Silver Lake is by the lake, right? We have this low-tech campus. If we want a low-tech campus or whatever we're going to do, but the lake is right there. Would we be able to partner with that group to do some kind of outdoor nature thing? Would they
They used to
adopt
go
that
do
campus?
sailing.
Yeah, right. So, if each of those places could adopt a campus, and it's not financially to help them, but to offer something for that campus. This is the Gaylord Texans adopted campus, and they help these kids put on a banquet every year, and that's a great leadership thing for those kids to learn, right? Just some way to make it special so that we're not in the place where we're attracting people here, but we could try to quit losing people. We could try to quit bleeding people, especially when they have a choice, when they can take their voucher and go somewhere else. So that's that's my hope. That's really my hope.
It's what you're saying is so beautiful. And so I'm hoping anybody who's listening or is going to watch this later will think about which way they could partner with our district, because you're right, we have to be creative. The funding is not coming from the state.
I mean,
but
we
have
got
a
where we were
huge-
by being creative.
Yes,
What are we
yes.
going to offer
Well,
that brings people in? Because
University Prep is we put all of our eggs in that basket, right? This virtual school that we started when public
Right.
schools were not doing virtual schools. And what they say, I don't know where we are now, but I'm presuming we are probably still the number one virtual school in the state. And they were forward thinking and creative enough to do that program, and it really is kind of sustaining us right
Yes.
now. But what we also have to be smart about is there were a handful of campuses that had a moratorium on virtual schools, because after they kind of took off, then the legislature put a kibosh on them because they weren't really sure where they were going. So there were a few of our campuses, these virtual campuses, that were grandfathered in. That kibosh no longer exists, and they opened it up. So all these schools now are doing virtual schools as a part of their curriculum. So we can't rely on kids, that being our difference maker. We can't rely on that making up the difference in the number of kids we lose in our brick and mortar campuses to be University Prep. We've got to pivot and do something else, because eventually it's going to even out, and those kids are going to go to the virtual campus in the district where they live, because they can, the legislature is now allowing you to participate in the extracurriculars, right? So I don't know who's watching. I truly don't. And I don't know who's going to go back and watch this. But what you said is go to your business and figure out how you can partner. Like I said, I talked to a teacher and I was like, I promise you I can get a group of attorneys that live here who will go in and teach these kids to present an evidence in a small mock trial. And speaking in public is an invaluable skill that will help every kid, whether or not they think they want to be a lawyer or not, right? So, and it's fun. I would have loved it because that's my thing, but it's also something they get to look forward to, and that other parents may say, hey, my kid's going to learn to speak in public and make presentations while they're in elementary school. Let's go to that. But whatever it is.
I also think the same thing with the languages. I know I don't have a high schooler, but I've been part of the discussion where we used to offer a lot more languages, and my understanding is now we just have ASL and Spanish. But to your point, if we can't offer all these and we can't pay for them and then we can't sustain them, can we have clubs? Can we have clubs where people can go and learn languages. I guarantee you there are people that speak a variety of different languages that would love to be part of like leading a club, you know,
Yeah.
whether it be, I know they have to have a teacher sponsor, but I think that would be invaluable too. Like we even if it's a funding resource, it doesn't seem to me as if I've seen a lot of outside the box thinking of ways in which we can engage kids and have more collaboration with our community, even in a manner that costs absolutely no money. Like, and if that's happening, and it might be, I'm not privy to it. The other thing I want to talk about, though, is the GT changes, because I think a lot of people are unaware of what those changes affect. And so my oldest is in 6th, but when she started at GCISD, they had mandatory testing for certain ages. I think it was kindergarten, 2nd, and 5th. They tested all of those kids. They tested every single child to make sure that if they needed gifted and talented services, that they got them. And I, as a parent, I had no idea that my kids needed those services because, I don't know, sometimes one of my kids is standing on their shoes and can't find them. I would not have pegged them for gifted and talented. But the way that their brain works, they needed those services to be challenged. But I think a lot of parents don't know that their kids need those services, and a lot of kids don't know that they need their services. And a lot of kids, when they're bored in school, have behavioral problems. That's just the unintended outcome of that they need to be engaged in that kind of way to even socially perform in an acceptable manner. So we no longer have mandatory testing for all grade levels. We did away with that maybe by the time my 2nd was in school, which was 2 years later. And your GT teacher would recommend it, or your actual teacher would recommend it. Now, they still do that. If a teacher gives a recommendation, they will still test your kids for GT. The difficulty is, you know, when we talked about teacher turnover the last several years, we've had hundreds of teachers leave the district, and presumably those teachers are predominantly seasoned teachers, whether they've moved on to a different industry or just retired or quit for whatever reason that they've left. But those are the teachers that are probably going to be the most capable of recognizing a child who needs more challenge in school. I know we need first-year teachers. I think it's great that people are still wanting to teach, but those teachers are not going to have the same acumen for picking out gifted students and knowing they need to be tested. And so it's kind of a problem that just kind of snowballed. The more first-year teachers we have, or new teachers, the less testing is probably going to get done. And the less testing that's going to get done, the less kids are going to be able to be accommodated at the level in which they need it. And so we used to, I know you talked about this, but the gifted and talented teachers used to be able to pick out the kids that the teachers were like, hey, I don't know if this kid is or not. And if they test and they don't test into gifted and talented, which is a test you take, and if you're in the 95th percentile of the state or above, that's where you receive gifted and talented services. So they would find kids that were close, or that the teachers still thought, I think this kid needs more engaged learning, and they would pull them out for enrichment. And they've done that ever since our kids were in school, and like I said, mine's in middle now. But we no longer have that option. So when we cut GT specialists, there is not any room in their schedule to meet the state mandated levels for GT services and also provide enrichment. So all of those kids, and I believe it's at all campuses, no longer receive enrichment. So now we just have GT. We're probably not going to have the capacity to test very much, because I don't know who's going to test these kids. It used to be the GT teachers, but now most of them are at 2 campuses. And we have a lot of new teachers who don't know that these kids need to be tested. So I think that that's going to provide, or that's going to give a big gap in that opportunity for a lot of kids coming into the district. And I don't know how we get past it with less GT teachers and more first-year teachers. I don't know, maybe you guys have like a suggestion, but that is just something that I've noticed with all these changes.
Quit bleeding teachers is where we start. I mean, we quit bleeding teachers. We listen to our teachers. We change the tone from the top down, and that's happening. We can see. I mean, our board president is just super competent, super professional. That tone in the room has just been turned down significantly since May.
It's more welcoming.
It's
like,
more
I think less
welcoming. It's
parents will
boring.
be. Yes,
I mean, it's more
thank
boring. Sorry.
the Lord.
There are the moments where there's moments that are uncomfortable with some of comments that have been made, but I just, for the most part, I'm seeing them just kind of talk past that and go on. And so it has been turned down. So maybe we build that. I don't know. I don't know where, we keep our teachers, we quit bleeding our teachers, and then we let our parents start to trust our folks again.
How do we stay patient with the process? Because we do have a new board. We have a new superintendent. We have a lot of new people in the administration building. So how do we stay patient with the process of they've got to figure out where they are, they've got to figure out what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, and still hold programs, hold the administrators, hold our leadership accountable? Like I was just curious as to what you think. How do we do that? How do we, because we don't want to burn them out and be like, oh my God, there's 5 million things we have to fix
I felt
today,
so bad
right?
for all of them this week. And I mean, and not that I'm not also complaining, but as parents, we're frustrated. We are all, I mean, tired of waiting, right? Like
Yes.
I'm so tired
Yes.
of being told, just hold on. Or even like with the new technology policy, yes, it is a beautiful start, and I'm not commenting. It's technology is not my big ticket item for me, like my big important thing that I pay attention to. But we are still being told, with that, there's more coming. This is just a start. Okay, but what? Right? When? It's, I think, communication, right? Like we've lacked
I was going to say that.
We've lacked real communication. It's not that we're not getting. We get a lot of emails. We get a lot of things every day, but we're not getting meaningful communication, like real honest, this is where we are, this is where we're going, this is the plan. And that it's also not a two-way street communication. It's being talked at, like we're talked at all the time, but we're not listened to, we're not valued as parents. And that is, how do we how are we patient with that? I hope that, and that, I guess patience is going to be a two-way street too. Like
Right.
it's going to be a two-way street for us to give them the space to work, but they also are going to have to be patient with us and give us the space to
learn to
understand.
trust.
We've been waiting for a long time, and it is exactly what you said. I mean, I really remember, and we've been friends for a long time now, I feel like, and I really remember those dual language conversations with you and I, and we sat there and I said, really, is it failing our kids? Like, is that what's happening?
Right.
And because I was in trial when that was going down. I remember, and you went to this one meeting I didn't get to go to, and you and I sat there and you said, yeah, it is. Like they gave us this data, and
I believed it.
And yeah, well, and we had that conversation, and I was like, God, like that sucks. And how long has this been going on? And what are we doing? And we had this conversation, and you said, yeah, like it really is. And as much as I don't like it, and you and I are kind of both shell shocked, like it's been this bad for this long. And you said, yeah, I guess so. And this whole conversation you and I have about the presentation that they gave, and then, we find out, and it didn't really take us too long to find it out, 2 or 3 months at the most, that it was complete gaslighting.
Yeah.
It was, it was cherry picked information.
Yep.
We did not get the full picture. It was gaslighting. It was like being sold a used car, right? That they had detailed and made it look really pretty, but the engine was
It
crappy.
was not even apples to oranges comparison. It
was-
was like
it
apples
wasn't
to a T-bone steak.
Right.
Yeah.
It was wild. And that, I just remember that moment. And that's why I like to have you in these conversations, Christine, which maybe it's heartbreaking for you. I don't know. But you remember this time when you could say, yeah, they told us that this is what the numbers were, versus,
I never thought to question them.
yeah.
I
and
never
so
thought to question.
and so getting back, I just hope, if you're an administrator watching, if you're a board member watching, anybody watching, if you're somebody that disagrees with us, if you're Tim Frazier and you called me whatever nasty dingbat woke cult leader this morning, like this truly is where we come from. It is a place where we do not trust what we're being told. And you know, we're sitting in the room with parents whose kids were completely upended by the school closure process, who were told our schools were future proofed, our finances were fine. In fact, the finances were better than they ever were before, who got the email that said school closures are a rumor. All of us, but when we got the school closures are a rumor, the three of us laughed. We're like, that's funny that you think we believe that, right? We've been gaslit so many times. No, we know 100% what's happening in the background. But then we're sitting in a room with other parents right now who are GCISD parents, and they got those emails and thought, okay, our superintendent is telling us that this is a rumor. So like, I know that there's these people that think the sky is falling. And then they find out the whole time that email had been sent, there was a committee meeting in the background with 3 board members sitting on it who are sitting at the dais telling them how great the finances are while they go once a month and meet with this committee about closing their school. And so, you know, people don't want, they want time. And I'm sorry, Dr. Adams, I'm sorry, Dahlia. I know that this week was crazy for them, because I can just think of like how many frustrations I've had this week. As a back to school parent, I have nothing compared to what these people who are going to brand new schools are doing, right? So I'm sorry that this week was crazy, but this is the level of trust that GCISD parents are coming from, is none. I mean, we're sitting in a room, 5 parents, and
And
who
I
are
was
going to
thinking
second guess
it's a
everything that we
process
get.
too.
Yeah.
Because you guys got angry right away. I did not. But the second that I realized that you were right and I was wrong, I was also angry. And there's going to be a level, I don't think we're angry per se anymore. We are
I'm exhausted.
yes, tired.
I'm exhausted.
We lack trust. But
Vigilant. I'm like vigilant.
But for
if
this
you tell
new
me something,
group,
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna figure out if that's true.
Yes, fact checking for sure. But for this new group, there's going to be a level of anger
Yeah.
for some time.
Like, they're not
And
going
that-
to believe the emails that come out. You need to, it's like, we're going to be the show me people. Like, oh, you can speak all you want. So this technology thing, it's beautiful.
And
Send me the report each week showing me how the minutes are
But
decreasing.
I also think that's one of the ways in which we can be patient through the process. Show us the process. When you're in these meetings and you're like, hey, we have some challenges implementing a new technology platform right now because, one, we can't do it at the beginning of the year,
Right.
which is understandable. But just a little bit of dialogue with the barriers and challenges, I think, will allow us to be patient. Like an understanding of why something can't be done, and just more information is so much more than we've had in a long time. And just like a conversation,
Yes.
you don't need to show us cherry-picked facts, but
Right.
what are the barriers?
Tell us the hard. We can
Yeah.
handle it.
What
We
are the-
actually
what
can
are-
handle
What
it.
are the
Yeah.
barriers? I mean, we're all parents. We've navigated, oh, I would love for my kid to be able to do this. I would love to be able to do this, but I can't because of X,
Right.
Y, and Z. Like, I can't even remember the last time we had a conversation where it wasn't, we've picked these facts because we want to show you we're right. Like, just have an open, honest conversation. I
And
would
what
love
do they
to
mean?
see
Like,
the
so
board
we're saying
members.
accountability scores are out, right?
Right.
We know. I mean, like, I looked at them. I don't know that we are what we would say we are where we moved here for. We are better than last year.
Right.
What do those mean? And again, I yay to our teachers. Like, I never think, and we all 3 people who believe that's only one small piece,
Right, right.
Accountability scores are one small piece, although it was the focus for a while.
Right.
In GCISD, like, that was what superintendent bonus was based on, was that one measure. But what do they mean? What are we doing? Like, real conversation, not the cherry picked, like you said. Like, I feel like I dig into every slide that they show me that says this is great. I go pull that data to see what it really means.
Well,
Because
even in
it's-
the words of my middle schooler, they've got to lock in. Like, communication has to lock in, because something as simple as every elementary school campus will have meet the teacher at 5:30 shows a lack of communication within the administration offices, because that has never been, we have never had or maybe not never, I cannot remember because my kids were in elementary school a while back, but I don't recall us having a unified meet the teacher time. It was every campus had their own day, their own time. So when that became pointed out, when people were commenting, no, at Timberline it's this time, no, at Bear Creek it's this time, great opportunity for the communication to lead in the hard and go, oopsies, oh my gosh, we are so sorry. This is the list of all the meet the teacher times at every elementary school. So-and-so's having theirs Tuesday night or whatever the night. But instead,
They just ignored all the corrections.
the voices were ignored.
Yeah.
The parents were not heard, which is status quo. That makes people impatient. That makes people frustrated, because that was a nothing. That was a nothing communication, like on the realm of communication, right? But yet, no correction, no admitting to, oh my gosh, we made a mistake. Like, I mean, because you can even have patience with us. This is a new
Like, we're
communication
brand new,
department.
yeah.
Thank you for communicating this. Here's the list. Nothing. Nothing.
And
If
we
they
would have
would say-
disseminated that. Like if somebody asked online, like, oh yeah, they made a correction. These are all the times.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it would have been
Fixed it.
helpful, and it would have been.
We would have
And you
shared
said
it.
the barrier. Like, what is the barriers? And we did say, like, this morning, there's obviously been a barrier to people being able to get their kids dropped off this week.
Right.
But the dads showed up and helped that, right? So if they will just say, we need your help, this is a helping community. This community
Right.
will show up. People that don't have kids in school, who have extra schedules, will show up and help. You know, but they have to admit that there's a gap, and they don't, and like, we don't see that. Like, there's no admission. Everything's running along
And
perfectly
we show up
fine.
together.
There's nothing to see here.
Like, whether or not we voted for the same people, whether or not we agree with things, when they ask for help, we show
show
up
up.
together.
Yeah. So.
I have talked to my husband about this quite a bit. Like when I watch the board meetings the last several years, I kept thinking, thou doth protest too much. Like if we invest, we're investors, and if you listen to an investor call, they spend 5% of their time going over what they were good at and what they achieved, and 95% of their time focused on where are we going, how come we haven't met this goal, how come we haven't met this goal, how come we haven't met this goal, how can we meet this goal. And I feel like we spent so much time patting ourselves on the back for the good things we do, and there are good things happening. I don't think we shouldn't pat ourselves on the back, but I think we need to be forward thinking. I feel like for at least the last 3 years, we have been playing entirely a defensive game, and we have absolutely no offense. At least that's what it seems to me. If we have an offense, and I've been paying attention, what is our offense? I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Like if the people paying attention and watching the board meetings and reading the stuff online have no idea where we're going, what is our game plan? How are we going to win this game? What is our game?
So we just got a comment from Courtney Frey commented that said so it is 9:43. So this will be like our last thing, and then we can say, because we need to. I mean, I've got to go to work, but and people will stop watching. But Courtney Frey said, I just got this text from the district. GCISD A-rated and on the rise. GCISD achieves top state accountability rating and 59 district-wide distinctions. See email for details. Can we comment on this live? Yay.
I think
That's-
it's great.
Yes.
That email came in when we were sitting here, so none of us have had a chance to look at it and make, at least me. And I can't make an articulate
Right.
I guess
comment, but I applaud progress.
Growth is good.
Growth is good. I will say we were an A-rated district when we moved here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this is. I always have to look at things. This is where we were when I moved here, so we are back to where we were when I moved here. Mm-hmm. So this is actually like we're at the rating we were when I moved here, but my child's been in school, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're 8th year in GCISD. So we
What
are
does that mean?
back to where we were when my kids started. I don't want to say that there's not. I do like to look for the celebrations. It's great that we've made growth in the last few years, but we didn't have to fall that far to get back to where we were when we moved here. And so, don't ignore the fact that we fell pretty far.
Well,
And why did we fall? No, so number one, what did we do to get back to where we were?
Right.
But number one, why did we fall in the first place? And I understand the COVID. Like, I totally get that was a statewide thing,
Right,
though, you
right.
guys. Like, that wasn't new to that was a nationwide thing. It was a worldwide thing. That's not specific to GCISD. What in GCISD? And we didn't do rating. We didn't do accountability ratings those 2 years.
Right.
And so, why did we fall in the first place? So that we please do not repeat that, because
Right.
my kid he's already halfway through his GCISD journey because he got to start early.
Right.
So we're 8 years in. We have 6 years left. I don't have the patience or the emotional energy for us to fall that far again. So what did we do that caused us to fall so far in 22, 23, 23, 24? 23, 24 was the year that was really the far drop. Because I don't want to do that again. I want us, like, what are we going to do to stay right where we are and go forward? I don't have the energy for us to fall again.
and it's not. It's going to be harder from here because one of the key components that the TEA uses to rate schools is student progress. So, like at Timberline, when we started 6 years ago, it was 88.
We were
88
an
out of
80
100.
88, yes.
88 out of 100.
We're an 86 right now.
Well, 2 years ago we were a 68, so we had dropped 30 points. It's a lot easier.
20 points, yes.
Oh, 20. Sorry, 20 points, yeah.
Hey, come on, number guru.
Yeah. It's a lot easier
Yeah.
to improve from a 68 than it is to improve from an 88. So now we've got to be vigilant about how do we keep it on top, because next year
Well, we're an
probably
86.
not going to get those points for progress.
Well, so I
student
just,
progress.
we aren't where we were. We were an 88 when you and I started at Timberland, because our kids
Oh, yeah.
started there.
Yes,
We
yes.
were an 88. So today I looked, we are an 86.
Okay.
So we did drop to a 68,
Which is great.
and as an 80,
Yay, teachers.
as an 80, yes. I put all of that on our teachers. I mean, our teachers do the heavy lifting.
But
And
to
this
your-
is never a reflection, but we are still not where we were when my kids started. This is my kids last year, so maybe we'll get back there. So have we grown? Or
Well-
are we just recovering all the things that we lost for the last 3 years? So or what, and where could we be if we hadn't dropped that far? That's the thing that I want, I hope that when we get this analysis in the board meeting or a workshop, whatever they do it in, I want to know what caused the precipitous drop in the first place and what we're doing to make sure that never happens again.
Because it's not just today's number, it's the trend.
Right. Right. So I don't want this up and down thing. Like, I don't care if it's a very slight increase. Like, I just like not dropping again is the goal for me. So that's my comment on accountability ratings, with us that came in while we were sitting. So just with that caveat that we haven't really dug into it. I guess so before we go, one thought for the new school year from each of us, and then we can let everybody go to their day.
Hey, it's a brand new year. Let's make it the best year we can.
Yeah, hoping to have a lot more involvement with, I hope parents can get to the place where they feel like they can communicate with their leaders and their leaders will hear them, even if they can't make a change.
I wrote this down. This was in like my morning devotional reading. That was a Spanish proverb quote. And so this is what I was thinking about when we went into doing this today. It's the quote is, "Truth, like oil, always rises to the top." And that's my thought for the day. Like,
I love
the
that.
truth is going to come up. We didn't talk at all about our grievance, Allie, but
No,
I
it's
feel like
okay.
that quote really does kind of sum it up. Like, it is going to come to the top after you wait long enough. Our grievance talked about dual language. It talked about, it talked about dual language, even though it wasn't about dual language. It was about GT. But the main thing for that from us was transparency and truth and communication, and that's all those things that we talked about today. And so we will, I gave a brief update online about that, and we kind of are just in a wait and see mode to see what happens next. But
I also want to say I'm so excited for Dr. Adams. I've never met him.
yeah, same.
I only know what I've read about him, but I am so excited for a fresh start, and I am so excited for leaders that model what they want to get back, that
Also-
put out into the world what they want to receive.
I just have a comment is, do we like only hire really tall superintendents?
Apparently.
Dr. Schnautz, crazy tall. Dr. Adams, I think might be taller. And also Dr. Ryan wasn't short to begin with. Let's start there. So, and Mr. DeMasters also wasn't short. So I don't know. That's like one of our criteria is you have to be over a certain height to work in GCISD as a superintendent. No, I saw the
Authority.
photos from a convocation. And I was like, that dude's tall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm so excited that
Thank you guys
chose
for
us.
doing this with me. I know
Thank
KP
you.
had to skip out, and she's doing actually really important stuff that's going to help our high school students. So that's really awesome.
Thank you both for filing the grievance. Thank you both for leaning into the heart and holding people to task, because it has not been easy. You're two of the strongest nasty women I know, and I'm very grateful for you both because you
Yeah.
do it not just for yours, but for ours.
We do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy weekend.